Okay.
Now this view of the Saturn third stage, and the lunar module is coming to us from about 5,000 miles beyond Earth. The spacecraft and S4B traveling at a speed of about 22,900 feet per second at this time.
Capcom flight. Jim said he couldn't even see the TV monitor. Is that what did he say that?
No, what Jim said he couldn't see a thing, and then I think it was Fred said he made him a TV monitor.
Oh, okay.
Incidentally, Fred is a little bit unclear as to when you want him to turn the TV on.
Yeah, I'm moving the TV here directly. I'm going to pull it out of this bracket. Yep.
Okay.
13 Houston, did you call?
All right, John, be moving the TV to get a better shot here. Move it out of its bracket.
Okay, Fred, it's just beginning to cut off at the bottom, but it's still a very good picture. Flight FAO.
Yeah.
On the TV, what we're expecting to do after they get docked is to try to take pictures of the interior on the tunnel work. And if the fighting conditions are not good enough, then to turn the thing off until after ejection.
Okay. And let's see, to do that, Capcom and Co, we're going to have to open it back up again and go to average on the switch.
Yeah, for interior scene in the command module.
Okay. Oh, that's very good.
That's a good picture, Fred.
Yeah, we're just about there. About 10 more feet now.
Roger.
Everything looks pretty good down in the S4B to the shroud still looks intact down there.
Good deal. There's really quite a bit of detail in this picture.
Okay, we've got 2 barber poles.
Houston, roger.
Flight guns. Go, guys. As long as he's in poo and don't reselect it, he can
ECS, he can.
uplink it or enter it himself. Or
You getting your stir now on the O2?
Doesn't matter.
Might be.
No, okay.
Why don't you got to
Keep
pass
going
the
off
data
the high
for the
beam.
crew checklist anyway on board, don't you?
Right.
Don't you got a page update? Or why don't we read it up to them and that'll serve both purposes?
All right.
Both have them entered, as well as why don't you tell them what page you want it in the checklist.
Okay.
Flight Tony.
Go
Okay,
tell
We
them.
showed the worm overhead hatches closed and the heater current looks normal.
Okay.
We got more than a problem.
Okay, listen, you guys.
Flight
We've lost
guys.
fuel cell 1
Houston, say again,
and
please.
2
I
pressure.
don't know what it
We
was.
lost O2 tank 2 pressure. GNC, you want to look at it?
And
Any
temperature.
problem?
Houston, we've had a problem.
Okay.
Roger.
Stand by, they got a problem.
We see a hardware
Main B,
restart.
both undervolt.
You see an
Roger,
AC
main
bus
B
undervolt
undervolt.
there, guidance? Or ECOM?
Negative flight.
O2 tank 2 pressure? I believe the crew reported.
We got a main B undervolt.
Okay, flight. We've got some
Main B.
instrumentation flights. Let me add them up.
Roger.
Okay, stand by, 13. We're looking at it.
We may have had an instrumentation problem, flight.
Roger.
Okay, let's get our instrumentation lined up here, you guys.
Go.
We've got one crewman that's awake on one, right?
That's affirmative.
He can.
Flight telling you?
Go.
Okay, in the ascent water, the present rates, we got 32 hours.
Just a minute. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, ascent water at 2.5 pounds per hour, which is what we're presently running, got 32 hours. The ascent oxygen, we got 22 hours at 0.22 pounds per hour. The ascent batteries at the present rate is 49 hours out of the total batteries. The total requirement from here on, including one more power up and so on for mid-course correction like the last one, it requires about 469 amp hours. So we're within the ascent battery capability at the present time. The lithium hydroxide, it doesn't matter. It's the same.
Retro flight. Retro flight.
Go fly.
What would be your plan if we went ahead and did the complete pin operation here, say at 111 hours? When would you do a mid-course? Should you require one? Or treatment? Okay, that's what I was getting at. That's the kind of thing you'd be using that tanker for. Okay. If you had to get faster, how far in advance would okay. To avoid that, but now we're saying that we can't be that clever. Is that right?
Right.
Can we tell whether or not it's closed?
Well, it's just the fact you're passing that cold helium over the static fuel in there. It will freeze it. There's no way to tell that it's definitely frozen, but anytime you do that, you will freeze. But we have no confirmation on it.
Nautical miles from Earth. The spacecraft velocity is up now to 4,928 feet per second. Repeating a figure passed along a little while ago, the flight dynamics officer reports that as a result of the mid-course correction, the flight path angle at entry is within the entry corridor. The flight path angle currently appears to be minus 6.24 degrees at entry interface. The nominal flight path angle is 6.5, and that is what the mid-course correction was targeted for. 6.24, negative 6.24 degrees is within the entry corridor, and a decision has not been made at this time as to whether any subsequent mid-course corrections will be required. At 112 hours, 51 minutes, this is Mission Control, Houston.
Okay, John, go ahead. Yeah, that last reading we got on the charger is looking good, and we got a little over an amp hour back there.
Okay, let me do my thing here with the black team and or whichever team it is that's on, and let you other guys hear what we're talking about to be sure that we're not missing anything, okay? Okay, very quickly, we're coming back in the corridor. We have a gamma right. Let me see if I got the whole team. Get out, we have an amber light from everybody to see John and Luke. And Fido, surgeon. Okay, we have a dain-ai of, last I heard it was negative 6.25. Target of a 6-5, 6.5, so we're very close. During the course of the day, Retro, I'd like to see some plots, points on the plot, how we're doing on that, okay? You bet. Capcom, let them know we're seeing what looks like some battery now stuff on battery 2.
Okay, Jim, it's about time at your convenience for another volts and amps reading on the command module.
Right on board.
For your information, we put 6 amp hours back in that battery already, and we got about 14 to go. It's looking real good. And I also just got the word that the entry weather tomorrow is looking better all the time. Really looks great.
You mentioned the battery now, Joe.
That's good. When I went to bed last night, we went on a hurricane.
Didn't copy that, Jim, sorry. Aquarius, Houston.
Go ahead.
Okay, we'd like another volt amp reading, Jim.
Okay, stand by, Joe.
Roger.
Rate, except for about 2 hours, if we assume that we continue to use power at the same rate, and add in a couple hours for a mid-course, we would have 170 hours of depletion. Now, it's probable that we will use more power tomorrow than the numbers I'm quoting here, and get as much useful work out of the LIM in terms of transferring its power over to the CSM as we can. The details of exactly how we are going to accomplish some of the functions tomorrow are not all completely resolved yet. We had a briefing just as I left the control center with the crew as to the timeline, the major events. I assume that everyone heard those. As to the sequence of events we would be going through in preparation for any actual entry. Some of the details within those events are still being worked out. We've had crews in simulators all day. There'll be another meeting this afternoon on exactly what the checklist ought to be. And as the Capcom Joe Kerwin was saying, we will spend some time later on this afternoon, this evening, reading up a lot of the checklist that the pilots will need for tomorrow. We're basically going to be modifying the checklist that they have on board, and a number of the parts of this activity tomorrow have already been exercised.
Maybe a little closer to 30. Somewhere around that number, 31 and 32.
There was one more
8 or 9 more.
press conference or separately to perhaps lay out as well as we can the timeline and the activity that will be going on tomorrow, so that you'll be as informed as we can have you at this time. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions. Some of them I won't be able to answer in the next hour. And I hope that sometime this evening we can satisfy most of your questions on the details of what's going to happen tomorrow. The weather is good in the recovery area. As a matter of fact, it's very good. And I think that's about all I have to say, and perhaps we can find what you're interested in by going to questions now.
Okay, front row down here. Wait for the mic, please. Do you have a two-part question? Do you have an estimate of how cold it is in the command module? And number two, if, as I assume, the lunar module is reasonably warm and the command module is cold, why don't the temperatures sort of even out going through the tunnel between them?
I don't have the temperature in the command module. I think it's running about 40 or 45.
It was 52 at 102 hours, but it's probably cooler than that.
So it's probably cooled down. We will be turning the telemetry on here in about another hour, so we'll get another idea of what's in there. I guess the reason that it doesn't mix too well is because the tunnel is fairly narrow compared to the two volumes on either end, and there is not a lot of through yesterday and today. They seem to me to be at the same level of operation, and I think tomorrow they will go through their own process of bringing themselves completely up for the entry, much as anybody has to do to prepare themselves for an event like that. And I think the best indicator is the voice. It's been very good.
Were they fatigued earlier, or did you get that impression?
I didn't really get the impression that they were tired. Somebody asked a while back, I recall Fred Hayes, I believe, answering that they really felt pretty good and they really didn't feel tired or fatigued.
And back here.
If it's so cold inside the command module, why aren't they wearing spacesuits? What are the advantages?
The primary disadvantage to putting the suit on is that it is bulky and it limits what the people can do. It's cumbersome to try to squeeze around in either the LEM or the command module, especially if you're trying to squeeze through the tunnel. And we've kind of had, with one man on watch, we've had him busy moving back and forth, so that they just haven't felt the need to put the suits on. Now that's entirely up to them. If they feel that if it is just so cold that they want to do that, they certainly go ahead and do it.
John Wilford.
Under the plan for the separations that you have now, where will the lunar module re-enter and where will the service module re-enter in relation to the command module?
Well, I hope that the men who come over this afternoon, this evening, can tell you some more about that. I don't know offhand. Of course, we fully expect both of them to splash down in the Atlantic. The separation sequences that we have are primarily designed to be sure that they're away from the command module during the coast above the atmosphere and during the reentry portion. I'm not answering your question, but I hope that they can help you better with that point.
Back here.
Why aren't you going to be using the normal technique for jettisoning the LEM rather than letting it be pushed away in that pressurized tunnel?
Well, the reason for that is that we don't have the service module. We would not have the service module with us. The normal procedure for separating from the limb is done docking it and then translate away with the service module thrusters. At the point of the flight that we'll be at, we will have already detached the service module. The command module does not have a thruster configuration that allows it to translate. It can just rotate, pitch, or yaw.
Okay. There was some discussion about the possibility of the astronauts getting into their spacesuits just prior, I believe, to jettisoning the limb after they put the tunnel hatch in place. What was the final decision on this point?
Well, to clarify your question, the question really is whether they ought to put the suits on before we get into all the engine tests for tomorrow or not. As Joe Kerwin, the capsule communicator, discussed on the loop, the advantage of having the suit on is if there's any problem with a leak in the command module patch.
From the ground, if they're not wear the suits during the separation of the limb. And the reason that was given was that the wearing of the suits would cause the astronauts to generate more heat, and that heat would have to be dissipated, and there would be a commensurate power drain for that function. And water requirement. And I'm wondering whether or not the numbers that you've been giving us on the water and on the power really indicate as large a margin as one might think if you don't have enough to be able to handle suited the heat generated by suited activity. That metabolic heat, it can't be all that much calories, and yet you don't want to expend those consumables for that function and pick up the protection of the suits. Now, I'd like you to review that again.
You'd like me to what?
I question you give us some numbers which would seem to imply that there is a large buffer in some of these consumables, or at least adequate for doing the mission without any sweat. But it seems that now the decision on the suit doesn't reflect that, and that whatever little amount would be needed to dissipate the body heat, they're not willing to expend it for a period of several hours that they might otherwise do so.
Each time that at least I've quoted the numbers to you, I have tried to carefully explain that they are based on the current rate and expenditures, allowing for 2 mid-courses 2 days ago, and allowing for, from this period forward, a couple hours for 1 mid-course. The numbers that we've been quoting are consistent with that. Putting a suit on is an additional load. I don't think it's an overriding factor in determining that the water availability would be much more marginal than it is right now. I think the primary reason for not wanting to put the suit on is that it definitely encumbers the operation of the astronauts in getting the ships ready to do the task they have to do. An additional argument for not putting it on is that they'll get warmer and they'll have to dissipate the heat, but I personally don't consider that an overriding reason for not wanting to put the suit on.
Mary Beth?
Glenn, I have several questions on the crew and, how they've been living in space. You mentioned that they're having difficulty sleeping in the command module. Where have they been sleeping, first of all, and wouldn't those beta sleeping bags provide some warmth?
Well, I assume that they have continued to get out into the command module to sleep. I don't know what all they're doing to stay warm while they're down there. Jim talked about putting the inner boots on for his feet. He talked about wearing sets of underwear. I don't know how much good they're getting out of the sleeping bags, but they generally seem to be getting cooler and cooler as they sleep in the command module. In other words, they definitely seem to be noticing it at this time of the flight. Somebody remarked that they were rubbing their hands when they came up from the last sleep shift down in the command module.
Then, secondly, on the food, in the hurry, to transfer into the LEM and what have you, there seemed to be, they were sort of snacking there for a while. Do you know what kind of stuff they've eaten, and have they been able to use any hot water, or have they been eating cold stuff, or?
I don't know.
Do you have any comment? Have you heard any comment?
Hot water anyway.
There's no how about on the limb, no, but I really don't know what they have been eating. I just assume they've been working about through their regular menus or deviating as they see fit.
The other thing was, outside of the comment that Lovell made that there'd be a long time before another moon mission, which he made several days ago, I haven't seen any comments from the men, particularly on their flight in space. Have you heard any?
On their flight?
Yes. You know,
well, no, I haven't heard any hand-wringing or
Flight retro.
Go ahead.
Channel 16 is the inter-sequence time.
Thank you.